The Audubon Society has been protecting birds for 100 years. To do that, you must protect their habitats. The Audubon Society of Northern Virginia has a mission to conserve, restore natural ecosystems to help birds and other wildlife. I'm Peggy Fox with Dominion Energy, and we have Barbara Tuset with the Audubon Society of Northern Virginia. Thanks for being here, Barbara.
Thank you very much, Peggy. My pleasure.
We're happy to support the Audubon Society of Northern Virginia and this program called Audubon at Home, which you are the co-director of. Tell us about it.
Thank you for the opportunity. So, yeah, we're an all-volunteer program. We began with a grant back in 2008, and the purpose is to provide information and guidance to property owners to help them restore native habitat for our birds and other wildlife. And how we do that is we have a cadre of trained volunteers. They are master naturalists or master gardeners who have been trained for this specific purpose, and they will do free on-site consultations with property owners to assess really the environmental health of the habitat that they have and to give them ideas on how to improve that. So some of those improvements may be handling water issues, erosion, things like that might happen on the property. It might be very much the removal of invasive plants that get in the way of where our native plants really need to be and outcompete them at some point. And really talk about the native plants that might thrive in their environment so that they can create that web of food and healthy structure and habitat value in their property.
What are the worst, some of the most invasive plants that we see that your plant experts go in and say, hey, that one's a bad one?
Oh my goodness. Well, the state of Virginia has a wonderful list of those plants. And one of the most invasive and most prominent ones in Northern Virginia would be English ivy.
I was going to say English ivy.
English ivy.
It is just, it's hard to get that stuff out. But once it's in there, it's just...
And it was seen as being absolutely beautiful, and people buy it to handle a problem area where they don't know what to do with something. So sadly, we still find it sold in our nurseries, which is
why is it such a problem for birds? Why is it such a problem for birds and other wildlife?
Well, it's very much a problem because what it does is it blocks out what other plants might grow where it is growing. So invasive plants become that way because they're aggressive in the environment and there's nothing there really to counter. Nothing eats English ivy in Northern Virginia.
Really?
In England, they have things that would control the English ivy, but here in Northern Virginia, it is introduced. And there wasn't anything that evolved that kind of controls it. So it will take over all barren ground, and anything that might try to grow underneath it is going to be totally shaded out. It also kills trees, right? So it climbs up trees. If it's not that it's damaging the tree bark so much as the weight of it brings trees down. So if you see a tree that's covered with English ivy, somebody might say, oh my goodness, how beautiful. And the truth is that it will, in the rain and the icy snow, it just has too much weight and it will bring the tree down. The other
Similar
thing
to how ice brings branches down.
Yeah, absolutely, because the ice holds on those leaves, right? Other vines that are native vines that don't have evergreen leaves don't capture the weight of that snow and freezing rain, and they don't cause a problem. So a lovely native vine might be Virginia creeper. You let that go wherever it wants to. So
thank you so much, because I have taken out as much English ivy in my yard as I can, and I have replaced it with Virginia creeper because I was told that it has berries. It's beautiful in the fall with its red leaves and has berries for birds. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. They're small, so they don't show up as the major impact of the plant, but they are definitely berryful. As is as is poison ivy. They have wonderful seeds, and this is how, or berries, and this is how it spreads. But of course, you don't want it in your yard. Exactly.
So poison ivy is native.
It is a native, and wildlife love it. So.
Oh, good. All right. People don't love it, but that's fine.
No, that's true.
Any other bad, I know kudzu's horrible, right?
Well, yes, certainly, but there are a whole list of really nasty ones. There is a porcelain berry.
Mm.
There is, well, oh goodness, Bradford pear. So if you
Mhm.
look out your window, if not this week, next week, perhaps, you will see trees, lovely white blooming trees everywhere along the Beltway, along 95, in every neighborhood. It's because Bradford pears were brought here to solve a particular erosion issue. They grow very fast, and they were supposed to be bred to not reproduce themselves. And sadly, that was so not true. And they are everywhere.
It's called evolution,
So,
right?
yeah, well, it's yes, but it's with
Mm.
man and very fast. So it's a little bit like climate change. Things are just happening too quickly for species to catch up. And there
Mm.
is nothing of value about a Bradford pear. You might see some pollinators on it, maybe, but
Mhm.
nothing, it doesn't host anything. So this is where we were getting to the value of native plants. They convert the sun's energy to plant material, and then that becomes the food for the larvae of local insects. And it is the local insects that are so valuable to the birds. If you watch nesting birds and they're feeding their babies, they're feeding them not seeds, not berries, they're feeding them caterpillars. And a pair of chickadees might need something like 6,000 caterpillars to feed their four fledglings in the short period of time that they are in the nest. So you need to have sources of food for those insects. And, you know, those insects are moths, butterflies, grasshoppers, things along those lines that are beneficial animals, wildlife to our native environment. So they're very important and we need to feed them.
Yeah. So a Bradford pear is not a good tree to have because it doesn't provide the insects.
It
Insects
has a very, yeah, it has a very low ecological value. Nothing, if you go to a Bradford pear leaf, find one on that tree that has something eaten out of it and you won't find anything. The design of a functional, ecologically functional plant is that you look at it and you can tell that something is eating it. And that's a good thing.
Okay.
They're lovely flowers or berries or whatever for you to enjoy as a human, but it needs to also have that ecological function or it's not providing anything.
Mhm.
So you should be
Interesting.
happy if you find, you know, little leaf holes in your Joe Pye weed or your red bud tree leaves.
Red buds are very beneficial, right?
They are, absolutely. They are early bloomers. They provide nectar for our early pollinators that are out there. And they also do support moths and butterfly larvae. Yes.
Could we talk a little bit about the grant? You didn't have to, the details that we talked about before, but we are supporting the Audubon Society
Yes.
of Northern Virginia and Audubon at Home. What will the support do?
Well, the support is going to, and we chose this time to support homeowner associations or civic associations who are looking to beautify their entranceways. And what we're wanting to do is have them consider using native plants rather than what they can get at the nursery that everyone else will go home with. And we've asked them also to use professional native landscape designers to help them with that selection so that those plantings can be very successful. So the wonderful thing about native plants is that once you get them in the ground in the right place, they survive. They do very well because they were made to grow up here. They were made to feed wildlife and look wonderful. But if you don't choose the right plant for the right place, or you choose one that's a little too aggressive next to one that can't quite hold its own against something, you don't have as successful a planting. So that's why we went that direction. And we chose HOAs because they obviously influence all the people who live in their communities. The board needs to consider what's being planted. So they are spending money. It's a partial grant. So we provide half and they provide half. and they need to support that. So they will have been educated about native plants as well. And there's a communication request that we have for the HOA to basically spread the good word out to the residents that, hey, if you like our entrance planting, these are the plants that are in it. You can put them in your yard too.
Mhm.
So
I love it. I love it. So I can't wait to come out and see some of this in action. And so we appreciate so much what you're doing to help the environment, help the wildlife, and help birds.
thank you. We enjoy it very much. And by the way, we're helping more than birds. So we have 35 or so sanctuary species that we are out to support with the work that we do with homeowners and property owners. So those include amphibians and reptiles and insects of all stripes, and our few local mammals that need that kind of support, like tree squirrels and bats, for instance. So we have a certification program as part of Audubon at Home as well. So aside from the grant work that we're doing just now, what we do on a normal basis is to go out and do these consultations, and then we offer a certification if a homeowner or a property owner is able to create a habitat that brings 10 of those 35 sanctuary species that we've outlined into their environment, attracted them by what they planted, then they're eligible for certification. And we have 7,000 acres roughly in Northern Virginia that we have certified to date. But given the size of Northern Virginia, we have a lot of work to do. So we would love to have people come to our website, check out our program, and get involved.
Great. I'm really excited. I want to get on that certification. I think that would be really fun.
Very good. I think we should.
And educational, as well as helping to improve the environment, one little space at a time.
And a great thing if you have children, because you can have your children help you observe the wildlife that shows up in your yard. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Barbara, thank you so much for everything you're doing and everything the Audubon Society of Northern Virginia is doing.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.